In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine reminder and warner in our midst. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man, a podcast of brothers who desires nothing more than to present to you a positive image of what a striving man of God should be. For we all are family men who love our children. We all are businessmen. We all are youth mentors. And we all work hard in our communities to make it a decent and safe place to live. When putting this podcast together, we decided to govern our rules, our actions by three rules. One was to put God first in all that we do. Two was to present content, the podcast that can make you a better you. And three, to showcase brotherhood and unity amongst men that you can be proud of. My name is Brother Abdul Kawi Muhammad. I'll be your host and moderator for tonight.
Come on.
Very interested in the root of things, the beginning of things, motivations and inspirations. And so I hope you enjoy those lines of questions. Now let me get to the other host of the Jock Brothers. This first host, and let me get it right, from Orlando, Florida. His brother is our, and he is the producer. I'm sorry, the engineer for the night show. Brother here is just a beautiful personality, a great person to have on any team. That's my brother Jackie Muhammad.
Yes, Jock Nation. Well, look here. Abdul Jackie Muhammad, brother. What are you talking about? Look here, Jock Nation. We have a wonderful show for you tonight. This one here is near and dear. We have a wonderful presentation that our family is a part of, and we want to introduce it. We want to share it with you tonight. It's very informative. Inside of my home, I have some participants. I wanted them to be on, but they didn't. They camera shy. So inshallah, we'll get all the information we can get tonight, and we hope that if you have any questions, make sure that you send the questions in, and we'll do our best to present them to our guests. Thank you for tuning in.
And our next host tonight is the engineer of the show. I'm sorry, the producer of the show, brother, well-traveled brother, from New York City. Just a good, beautiful person to have on any team that you're trying to get off the ground or move and shake on. My brother Ahmed Bia.
Thank you, Brother Kawi, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Thank you all for tuning in and taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Like my brothers said earlier, we have an exciting show for you tonight. It's always informative. We use our podcast as a teaching tool. So please tune in, bring your pen and pads, ask questions through our YouTube channel. You can subscribe when you go on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe at Jock Brothers on YouTube, Jock Brothers. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Jock Brothers. You can also find us on our website at jockbrothers.com. If you have any critique or any information that you want to share with us, you can reach us at our email, jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com, jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. And most important is supporting our effort financially. And you can do that by sending us any financial help at $Jock Bros, $Jock Bros. You see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So if you want to support us, you can support us in many ways, not only financially, but information that you can give us through our email address, and subscribe to us on YouTube. So please, thank you all for joining us tonight. And Brother Kawi, you can take it from here.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Can you hear me, family? I can't hear a word.
We can hear you. Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir.
You can't hear anything?
Okay, let me see. I cannot hear a word in this thing. So my computer is 100% up. Can you hear me talking?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. I can't hear things, but I'm gonna go ahead and get to the introductions of our host, of our guests. I'm sorry. I want to introduce the next gentleman here. This brother here is a lifelong educator. He is the owner and founder of Blackstone Academy that's currently in College Park. He's had many graduating class of Blackstone. My son currently attends his school. Very intelligent brother, very well spoken brother. No further ado, my brother Kenneth Muhammad. And open the words there, brother Kenneth.
Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to first of all thank the Jock brothers. I really do appreciate your demonstration, brother Jackie, brother Kawi, and brother Ahmed coming together, giving us this platform so that we can express ourselves from our viewpoints with intelligence. I really do appreciate your example and your consistency in showing that Black men can work together to provide us with a voice and a certain viewpoint that's extremely beneficial to our people. So I just wanted to say thank you for this invitation this evening.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for
So-
accepting it.
oh, praise be to Allah. Blackstone Academy, as you said, has been around since 1992. And as you have stated before, we have had graduates that are now doctor, lawyer, engineers, software programmers, and we're in the middle of encouraging them to come back because they best know how to run this program. But what we try to do at Blackstone Academy is to try to make an education that's fit for the time. So we have a regular curriculum, but it changes a little bit every year depending upon the prevailing circumstances. Now, this particular year, we've had some new parents, and the one that you're having as a guest on is Sister Carrie Muhammad. And I'm sure you'll bring her bio on, but as a parent, Blackstone changes because Blackstone is made up of the families. And the dynamic that Sister Carrie Muhammad brings is that she was a former district attorney of New York City. So naturally, she wants to give out of what God has blessed her to have in her, which is an understanding of how the legal system works, which is critically important for our young people to understand so that they can become more productive as citizens of any nation. We have to know not only the laws, but how they actually work. And by introducing the legal process to our children, we're hoping to encourage them, to empower them to take a more proactive role in the process of lawmaking itself. Too often our young children, our Black children, our youth get themselves into trouble simply for not knowing. And then the legal system says ignorance of the law is no excuse. So, at what point do we start to educate our children as far as the law and how it works?
That's right.
It has to start before they step into that arena.
That's right.
So, when Sister Carrie came to us with this idea of wanting to share with us her skills and talents, we were very appreciative and open to this because this is the time that our children are going to face in just a few years. So I just wanted to, again, I'm filled with gratitude that Blackstone Academy is able to have a sister with this kind of skill. and
That's right.
extremely humble, which makes her an excellent teacher and very enthusiastic about the subject matter that she's dealing with. So I don't want to steal your introduction of her. I'm just very excited and appreciative to have her and her children in our presence. So I'm going to allow you to go ahead and take the platform because I could talk all day about this subject and this particular sister that we're blessed to have.
Right.
Yes, sir. I think you already stole it, brother, but I'm gonna do my best to follow up that, brother. So as he already said, we have a guest on here. Her name is Carrie Muhammad, and she is the founder and principal owner of Command the Interview. As a certified interview coach, she helps students and job candidates of color in specific, it says, close the interview performance gap by teaching them techniques to articulate their value persuasively and confidently to potential potential employers. Are you hearing a lot of echo in the line right now?
Yeah, it sounds like someone has another phone on or something.
That's me, because that's the only way I can hear you. Okay. Let me see if I can just cut this off. So Carrie's expertise comes from nearly 20 years of experience as a former New York-based prosecutor, where she interviewed hundreds of victims and witnesses to build strong criminal cases while serving as an assistant district attorney. She observed that qualified candidates of color were often overlooked for roles because they lacked the skills to effectively communicate their strength and their accomplishments. Her consulting work today is driven by her passion to continue serving others. She inspires promoting candidates to eloquently present, captivate, leave a positive, lasting impression, and ultimately command the interview, which is the name of her company. Carrie holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Hollis University and a Juris Doctor degree from the University of Pennsylvania. With no further ado, and with a Jock Brothers round of applause, please welcome Carrie Muhammad, Sister Carrie Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the invitation. I am humbled by your desire to want to speak with me about this initiative that we've started in Blackstone. So thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So as brother Kenneth said, yeah, he was extremely. Oh, let me cut this down. Sorry.
Cut your phone down a little bit, Carly. Cut your phone down.
Ahmed, you muted.
Okay, as brother Kenneth said, he was extremely happy to have such a talent to come to the school. Brother Kenneth, have you ever had such I guess a program such as the one that Sister Carrie would be conducting at Blackstone in the past?
Well, historically, we did have our students enter what was called a legal bee. The name fails me right now, but they did have an appreciation. There was a man that hosted a legal bee, and the students participated in that for a few years, just in terms of legal terminology. But in terms of the fullness of the court process and handling a case, the fullness of this process that Sister Carrie is bringing, it helped us to form what is now turned into the BSA Law Club mock trial. So this is much more than just terminology. This is actually teaching the process of what happens in trial and in court. And Sister Carrie has gone and given them a particular case, and you'll see she's had students on both sides of the issue, and she has petitioned parents to become jurors because not only the young people need to know this process, but we still have plenty of gaps that we can definitely fill in to understand this process. So no, not to this extent. No, she brings with her a full complement of understanding the inner workings of the court system, which for many of us can be very intimidating. And hopefully, when and if we find ourselves in this position, we will be more informed with less fear to understand how things do work and how they're supposed to work. So I'm extremely excited about someone who's actually been participating in this for years and knows actually how things work. So, no, Sister Carrie is a first rate professional, um, which we are blessed to have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sister,
You turn
Sister
your
Carrie.
you turn your
I'm
phone.
sorry, Brother Jackie. Go ahead, sir.
No,
Yeah.
Colby, just turn your phone down. Just
Yeah, turn it down.
As a matter of fact, you can actually mute your phone because all you need to do is hear. So just mute your phone.
It's muted.
Right.
Okay, turn it down. Just turn it down some.
Yeah, because it's interfering. But Sister Carrie, have you ever done anything like this before in the school system?
Not in a school system for high school or younger, but I have been a coach for a law school team in the past, where we actually traveled to, I want to say, DC and Virginia to compete nationally against other mock trial teams.
Oh, okay.
And Sister Carrie, there's so many programs that deal with our youth and the family that come out of prison. About how are programs like this supported, to deal with the information as the children, our youth are young and coming into the knowledge of themselves.
I don't know that this particular program directly addresses that with respect to people, that have people that are involved, unfortunately, in the criminal justice system. But what I think it does is it gives exposure, which is so critical. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wrote in A Torchlight for America, in chapter 4, pages 47 through 53. I'm going to take a couple of excerpts because I think it really demonstrates the point. He said that one of the things that separates man from beast is knowledge. And education is supposed to be the proper cultivation of the gifts and talents of the individual through the acquisition of knowledge. So if we, as we're taught, parse something that the minister has said, what is knowledge? Knowledge is facts, information, and skills that are acquired by a person through experience or education. So let's parse that more. What's experience? Experience is that practical contact with and observations of facts or events. The minister also said that in that same book, he said that he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity. So what does that mean here? What can we make of this when people, especially in our community, can't aspire to achieve something that they don't know exists, or that they only know it exists on one side, meaning they don't know that they can be, attorneys. They have sometimes experience with family members or friends that are part or caught up in the criminal justice system, but they don't know the other side. Right. So the education system, especially at this young age, in Blackstone, we have students that are as young as 10 that are part of these teams. So what are we doing when we have them a part of a team like this with this type of topic? We create that exposure, right? And that exposure is what can impact those aspirations of these young people, right? So if exposure is when you experience something or you're affected by it because of being in a particular situation or place, then what this program does, or what this initiative does, is it opens up their mind to what the possibilities are out there of people that they can become, or industries that they can enter, or knowledge that they can gain. So I don't know that it necessarily, helps those persons that are already, ensnared by the criminal justice system, but it can impact the future, maybe to prevent or to impact to desire to go into that profession to help others that are snarled by the criminal justice system.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You know, I was gonna ask, when you started out, you know, when the desire was with you to become a lawyer, how was it received? You know, maybe from your peers, because I'm looking, I'm saying, you know, being a lawyer, it seems so far fetched in our community. But when you study gangster movies, they kept a lawyer. You know, they kept a lawyer in their circle. You know, and until the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you know, he has on the National Council as well. It's about 4 lawyers. You know, so you know, we had to change. We have to change the narrative, and I'm just wondering, how did you handle, you know, when you first began, you know, following this dream or this passion, and how was it, you know, how was it received from your peers, and how did you overcome, if you had to, you know?
Yes, sir. With respect to, I'll take that question in 2 parts, because I want to talk about peers on one end in my early life, and then peers as I entered into the legal profession. For me, you know, having the aspiration to be an attorney, it wasn't anything that was too far fetched. I can't say that I know, you know, many attorneys growing up, but I had a mother and I had a father who were both entrepreneurs and who were both people that pushed education and valued education, because at that time, coming from the Caribbean islands and being first generation here in this country, that's what they pushed, because that's what they felt was going to be the distinguishing factor for me. And so they instilled that in us, and that was, you know, a major tenet of how we grew up. So I just didn't have a limitation on what I thought I could be because of their example. Now, when you talk about peers and acceptance of this profession, when I got to law school, I went to a predominantly white law school, and I had a group of friends who were mostly women, and they were Black, and one was Latina, and they came from HBCUs like Spelman and Howard. And when I approached them and told them that I wanted to go into prosecution, that's when all of the antennas went up, and you know, the pushback came. And I had to find myself defending myself and defending my choice to be on this side of the criminal justice system when I left law school.
That's big.
Were you able to find, like we have found in Cuba, financial assistance in some of our youth becoming doctors? Have you found different ways for youth to navigate through the legal programs without financial strain?
So that's a good question, and that's a big question. You know, I want to say in 2022, the American Bar Journal, they did an article about the state of basically Black attorneys, and among the statistics that they found is that, you know, just like other professions and industries, Black people come out with the most debt from going into schooling, especially higher education. And why is that indicative of basically just the oppression that we have lived through our whole entire lives? Is because how do you know where to get money from? Well, that knowledge comes from knowing where to get scholarships, where to get that financial assistance that you don't need to repay. And that takes research. That takes people that have resources that are willing to guide you in a direction to show you, well, this application, you should apply for this particular scholarship because this suits who you are and what you can bring to the table. So again, it's all about access. So is it widespread, the knowledge that there's money out there that you can get for these scholarships to attend law school? That's not widespread. That's something that's born of people that already know that these things exist and capitalize on that type of financial assistance.
And Brother Kenneth, you promote that, and you have a team that goes out and finds scholarships?
Well,
You know,
yes,
someone
sir.
says they can't afford school.
Well, we encourage our students to start looking for scholarships as of the 6th grade.
Mm,
And it is a process. It does take time, but we have been in position to support our students going into college with over $2.3 million worth of scholarships. Uh, but it does take work, but like a part-time job, it's worth the effort. And as Sister Carrie said, when you're exposed to know something is there, you go after it. You go after it. As a result, we encourage all our students to get into that process, just like they take their core classes. Looking for scholarships is really a part of the curriculum to try to let them appreciate the process of education and to lift some of the burden from their parents as well, going through this whole thing so they can take better ownership. Um, to show a level of appreciation of the legal system, uh, I'm just excited again about this whole thing. One of our former students, Sister Ariel James, had just graduated from North Carolina Central School of Law
mm,
this year. And her graduation is actually May 5th in Durham, North Carolina. So, Sister Carrie, this is one of ours going into the legal system as an attorney. So, this is just to let you know, this is Sister Vanessa Muhammad and Brother Iquan Muhammad's daughter. Um, and I will say that I remember Sister Ariel has a serious work ethic.
yes,
And
yes.
I believe to have the kind of discipline coupled with the knowledge of yourself is an excellent guideline to keep you on the straight course. So yes, as Sister Carrie said, I won't say that having lawyers and doctors around you is so far-fetched. It's really about the kind of environment that you produce.
Right.
When you produce the right atmosphere and the right environment, that's the process, and they will continue to grow in that way. So one big part of that, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, he said the basis of all world endeavor is the family. So when the family has a culture that encourages growth in that direction, that is the primary influencer in the child's life. And once again, back to Sister Carrie, I can say that because if you were to see her children uh, with the level that they operate on intellectually, with the way they articulate the language, you can tell that they don't talk to their children like babies, which is a
Right.
term I really don't appreciate. They talk to their children like young adults, and you can sit down and carry a very full adult conversation with her children who are in the first and third grade. So it's comes from the home,
Hmm.
Right.
and then of course you have to protect your investment.
That's right.
So
Mhm.
it's at the home again. You know,
Mm.
you so I just wanted to say that. And one other thing, Sister Carrie, just recently I was just looking at the news that this whole aspect of a mock trial competition, that's really on a national level, isn't it?
Yes, sir. There are
Yeah.
national competitions, even at the high school level.
Mm.
Yes. So though this may be new to us, this is widely accepted, widely appreciated, widely expressed. You know, and in order to make our students and our young people fit for the time, they have to be able to compete on a much larger scale. So we have to constantly, as Sister Carrie said, expose them. especially to the legal system
Right.
Yes, sir.
that's involved with the process. But this is on a national level. This has been going on.
We
Yeah.
really
Go
good.
ahead, Brother Beck.
Well, Brother Kenneth, you said something earlier. You said you have to, I wanted you to elaborate. You said you have to protect your investment.
Absolutely. All of us, you know, as parents, you marry your wife, the husband, marries the wife, and the wife marries the husband, and that's a beautiful union. But once you have a child, now you going to work, you know, and it, with us and black people with limited resources, oftentimes it takes us a few years to learn how to manage our budget and pay the electricity and basic things like that. But a few years in a young person's life actually forms their thinking. So, we have to be very careful about that timetable and that window with young people,
That's right.
that we don't lose sight of what we're actually out there working for. So,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
it's important that you get out there and you make that dollar to keep that roof over their head, but you have to make sure that you come home and you protect that investment of what you're going out there for. Because 1 year, 2 years, 3 years go by is nothing for us, but for them, they're shaping how they're going to solve problems, who they are, and what's going on in this world. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
anyone that comes along and helps me in this process, I appreciate it. And incidentally, I have to say, in my attempt at trying to teach young people, trying to take a complex message and make it plain, I end up learning much more myself
Mm-hmm.
uh, about whatever subject. So I think as a community, we have to get closer to those two extreme ends, our young people and our elders, and keep that cycle going up and down so we can get a full complement of it.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so I just want to say,
Yes, sir. Sister Carrie. So we're doing a mock trial next week. I guess you're
mm,
going to actually bring this trial to life for the Blackstone students. With your experience in the courts, I mean, when we had a conversation the other day, you was explaining to me that the very presentation of the person that comes to court can sometimes to predetermine what their faith is. Can you speak on that a little bit about how people come to court dressed
mm,
and how they should come to court dressed?
mm,
Yes, sir. So, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan says, or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that our people suffer from a lack of knowledge. And so, I don't judge our brothers and sisters for coming into the courtroom in the manner that they do. However, I do also feel that there is a level of respect that sometimes our brothers and sisters don't bring into situations that they should. So, for instance, I've seen people come to court wearing the bonnets that they've worn to sleep at night, their pajamas, their slippers. I've seen them come in half shirts, shorts, clothes with holes in them. I've seen them come in with shirts that have just insulting things written on them. They've come to court high. They've come to court unkempt. They've come to court unhygienic.
Mm,
And
mm.
I cannot say that this is because they don't know, because I'm pretty sure that they would not go into other situations like this. I feel though that sometimes for some people it's just like, you know what, you just have to accept me as I am. This is how I'm coming in. But what that does is there's a statistic that they use in like the interview context where they interviewed managers, 2,000 of them, and they said that within the 2,000 of them said that within the first 90 seconds of somebody coming into the interview, they knew whether or not they were going to hire them. And that was because the 55% of what they're judging is visual. And so when you come in looking the way I've described, you've already brought yourself down on the level of what's not supposed to be all the way judgment, but your visual presentation has put you on a scale that's already below the meter. When you compare it against, for example, white defendants that will come in wearing, they're suited, they're booted, they have their parents beside them, they're sitting in with all kinds of manners, and they have an obvious support system, versus a person that comes in with their children, unkempt, unproperly dressed. They're coming in below the level. So I say that all to say that that's one aspect of it, right? But there's another aspect to it too, right? Just because the uniform of a courtroom is a suit for men and is also, a suit necessarily for women, or some kind of business professional for women, it doesn't always mean that you'll get that respect that I've just described, right? I've been in situations where I've been called the defendant's name, standing next to, on the side of the prosecution's table by myself. The defendant and his attorney are on the other side of the courtroom, and I've been called his name. So wow. There are also studies that show that, Black prosecutors particularly, as well as, Black defense attorneys, despite the fact that they're wearing the uniform of how a lawyer is supposed to look, they've been mistaken for defendants. They've been, referred to as court staff. They've been disrespected. They've been prevented from sitting in the well where the attorneys sit, to wait for their cases being called. So yes, it goes both ways. But if you're in the position of someone that's coming to court to defend yourself, or portray your innocence, then there is a decorum and a courtroom etiquette that you should follow to make sure that you put your best foot forward.
I wanted to mention, you spoke about the support system, and I remember when one of my sons got in trouble, and I went to court with him, and the judge said, "Sir, I've been in court for the last month, and you're the first father that I've seen come in this courtroom, and because of that, he dropped the charge on my son." And I'm just wondering, from you, how important is a support system?
It's unspeakable how much of an impact it makes. I've had young men, I've seen young defendants that are, of color on trial for murder charges. And in the crowd, there's no one there for them. They can look back and there is no one there. But on the side of the victim, the courtroom is filled. What it does to a person that's in that position, right, in the defendant's seat, to know that you're out there and you're facing, your liberty is about to be just taken, snatched from right underneath your feet, and you have no one there that has said that I love you enough, or I care about you enough to stand by you in this most difficult time. That speaks volumes as to who you are, unfortunately, and how important you are to the people that you're supposed to be important to. If you're not important to the people that you're supposed to be important to, why are you important to the judge? Why would you be important to the prosecutor? Why should you be important to those jurors that are about to decide your fate, and they look nothing like you, have no experience like you, and cannot even identify with you? Therefore, they cannot empathize with you. So that's something that people don't understand, not having a support system. So again, that's another thing that is a tick on the negative side of the ballot for somebody in that position that is coming in to face these types of charges by themselves.
Now we talked about dress code, but what is the first thing you ask of these students participating in this mock trial, and what do you expect from them as far as attitude and being non-biased?
Sure. I expect, and I tell them every time I see them, I expect that, I have created a curriculum for you to give you the basic knowledge that you will need to operate within this courtroom, understand courtroom etiquette, understand the evidentiary rules, and understand the way that the evidence is supposed to come out and how you all are supposed to work it as a team. My expectation of you is that you come into court as if it were real, because this is a simulation, right? But remember, you practice how you play. So in your mind, this should be, well, I'm an attorney. I'm a witness. I am this person. Like, this is your moment to show what we have been doing for the entire school year to your parents. They're coming out to support you. Your loved ones are coming out to support you. So I expect you as young men to be suited and booted. And I expect the young women to be in business professional. And I expect them to act in the manner as if they have embodied the character that they are about to portray. So if you're an attorney, you're going to embody that. If you like Brother Jackie, Brother Cowie, they have witnesses. You have to embody that person, and you have to connect with that jury. So I expect this to be as real as they can make it.
Right. So you said something in your answer. You were saying they got to learn how to present the evidence. Did you say something to that nature?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So they know now, they basically have legal literacy, right? So at this point in time, they can understand the legal concepts that I've taught them, the process and the procedure. So they know who goes first, who gets the first word, who gets the last word. They know how they're supposed to address the court, address each other. They know how to enter evidence into the courtroom and enter it into the trial itself so that it can be used on their summation. And they know how to tell a story through their witnesses, as well as through their openings and summation, to basically capture the jurors from the beginning all the way to the end. So they've learned the entire process of how a trial is to be conducted. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do.
Brother Kenneth, and have you been witnessing a transformation or change in the children's dialogue and attitude as they've been participating in her portion of the class?
Absolutely. I've witnessed their language, vocabulary changing in between classes. Young people like to play with everything. But
Right.
I enjoy them playing with legal terminology as they have discourse with each other in between classes. So it's elevating to me. I'm noticing their analytical skills are definitely much higher, much sharper. And as I said, I really think it's important that the parents really get involved, because sometimes the parents don't realize the level that these young people are actually operating on, but their analytical skills, I can see how they can look at a scenario from various points of view. So I definitely see them viewing a problem more than one-dimensional or two-dimensional or three-dimensional, So yes, I definitely see a vast improvement. And I love to hear young people. I tell them, if you plan on being successful, you have to learn how to communicate across the board. So we love our people. You don't want to lose the language of the street, because that's how we communicate with our people. But by the same token, as we begin to encourage them to be entrepreneurs and professionals on other levels, they have to learn how to speak the King's English.
Right.
Sir. Yes, sir. Now, Sister Carrie, you just said a term, legal literacy. And I looked it up, and it's legal awareness, sometimes called public legal education, is the empowerment of individuals regarding issues involving the law. And we have several lawyers on the street. Ray, he went to jail for this and he became a lawyer. Everybody wanted to tell us what we should do. So going forward, how do we increase our legal literacy? Outside of the education forum, or is that the way we should do it? How do we increase the legal literacy in our community?
I think at this point, right, where we have essentially tragedies occurring in front of our face, basically on a daily, weekly basis, right? Our brothers and sisters being, mistreated by the police and killed by the police, right? So right now, as we're in the war of Armageddon, right? Things are playing out where instead of just watching it on TV, instead of just seeing what's happening to our people out in the streets, go a little bit further, look it up. Well, what when they say this on the news that this is the charge or this is what this person did that caused them to get their car stopped, look it up. Like they're giving you nuggets in these news broadcasts. And yes, a lot of times they're skewed, but the actual legal component of it, they can't really skew, right? Because it's dealing with the laws in that jurisdiction in this moment. So take that extra step and look up those things and research it. Engage in discourse with other people. Think about, has there ever been a time that this has happened to me? What did I do in that situation? Well, now that I know this little bit about, car stops, how will I act in the future should I be stopped by a police officer? So it's about not just taking it and letting it sit in here or go over your head. It's about taking that nugget and building upon it. Yeah. And, there's so many things out there that, remember, we're constantly sponges, right? So no matter what we watch or what we listen to, it's going to impact our mind and impact the way we think. So a lot of times we spend time on social media. Sometimes it's mindless. Utilize social media to look up these types of legal cases, see how things are dealt with from one jurisdiction to another. Look at historical context. Like, let's look at the way that the George Floyd case was tried versus the way that Trayvon Martin's case was tried. What were some of the issues that were similar? What were some of the issues that were different? Like, this is how we can build our legal knowledge and broaden our horizons in that particular field, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yes, hold on. It's commercial break. Got to stop, brother.
I don't understand that finger, bro. I don't understand that finger.
I got to stop you, brother. Let's take a small commercial break.
Don't do it, Abdul. Don't do it.
Go ahead, there, brother, out, man, with the announcements.
Boy, that finger, boy.
Put that
finger.
Put that finger up, brother.
Sister, that I know we don't use that finger in the courtroom. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. We're discussing a group a school that's putting on a mock trial, so our children and parents can all learn a little more about conducting themselves and learning about the legal system in the courtroom process. But our platform tonight is supported financially at Jock Bros, $ Jock Bros. You can see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen, $ Jock Bros. You can support us on YouTube by subscribing, clicking the link. You can support us on Facebook and Instagram at Jock Brothers. You can also support us at Jock Brothers Viewers at gmail.com. If you have any information that you want to send to us, any critiques, you can send it to Jock Brothers Viewers at gmail.com. You can also log on to our website, which is jockbrothers.com. In all these ways, you can support us and participate in us spreading this information and knowledge to our viewers around the world. Thank you. Back to you, Colin.
Yes, sir. And since I put the finger up at you, brother, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get this question, brother.
But that engineer.
I can get it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Now, sister, our children now, we're learning the legal system. It's based on the European mindset. How do you get the children to balance this legal system with true justice and balance it out? How do we get them to understand that portion of our legal system?
Well, I think that at this point, our children are growing up in a time where they're seeing the dichotomy, right? Like, is it really freedom, justice, and equality for all? Right? They're seeing it play out right in front of their very eyes. So the way that I approach these things with them is basically, at the end of the day, yes, is this legal system or the criminal justice system based upon maybe like a European model? But it's not different really than our laws within the nation. There are certain ways that we are supposed to conduct ourselves. There are certain things that we're not supposed to do. The laws that we are utilizing for this trial, or talking about, is really nothing different than the way that we are to do unto each other as we want others to do unto us. So we recognize that the system is nowhere near perfect, but we also recognize that we play a part in how we conduct ourselves within the system. So it goes, rules and regulations are there for a reason. They keep order. So as long as we're abiding by this order, and as long as it doesn't conflict with our religion, then it shouldn't be that difficult for us to stay within the confines of this European-based criminal justice system.
Well said. Well said.
That's a great answer.
Well said.
Great answer.
Yeah. So Sister Carrie, I want to talk more about well, I'm gonna get to that final question. So in our conversation the other day, I made a point to you that when I was growing up in school, that I was only introduced to about 5 careers that the whole class wanted to do. Everybody wanted to be a fireman or a policeman or work for the post office, or I want to work for UPS. We got the lawyer, doctor, but it was just we was all like bottled in that little like realm of careers. You was explaining to me that in the law field it's about 80%, 20% black, and even a much smaller percent of that is black women. This right here, this mock trial, what image or what are you trying to get out that you want to? What kind of lasting effect do you want to leave on the students that will be participating, not just this year, but for the future to come? So I think we're going to do this mock draft every year. I'm assuming that, Brother Kenneth. I'm assuming it.
Hopefully.
Well, with respect to the first part of your statement, in 2022, the statistics were that Black attorneys made up only 4.5% of the nation's attorneys. And so, and again, we're supposed to be making up 13% of the population, right? Yes, sir. And that's like a non-change from like 2012. So we're talking about within 10 years, the Black attorneys, the representation for us has not grown. So when I say that all to say that, in life, we're influenced by, people, circumstances, and experiences, right? And just like the minister said, right, it prescribes the circumference of our activity, right? So let me give you the example of, you have little young boys that are Black and brown. They see Black football players, Black basketball players. They see in these Spanish-speaking countries or these other islands, they see, Latino or Latinx baseball players. And so this is what our youth aspire to be, because they can see a mirror reflection of themselves. You also have some young men that what they see is on their block, right? And sometimes that involves criminal activity. So they mirror because that's what they know. So then let's juxtapose that against somebody like Brother Dawood Muhammad, who you had on your show. That's a brother who grew up under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with a father that put in him an entrepreneurial spirit from the age of 6, right? And showed him through example what an entrepreneur does. He told you on his show that in his life, despite how high of a status he achieved as an employee for one of those dealerships, no matter how much, hundreds of thousands of dollars that he was making, he wasn't satisfied because he wasn't fulfilled, because his spirit has always been to do for self. So he went out to fulfill that dream because that was what motivated him. That was what his purpose in life was, because he had the teachings, which is the knowledge, and he had a mirror image in his parent. So what this program does half of the students in there don't want to be lawyers, but that doesn't matter because it teaches skills that are going to be transferable, right? It teaches you how to critically think and problem solve, communicate, speak in public. It teaches you how to work as a team. And it teaches you like real life, you know, hands-on experience as to how to behave in a courtroom. All of these things are things that are transferable, that are going to, you know, take you through life. I'm bringing another statistic here, but they are now saying that employers for jobs, right? They are no longer really as concerned with hard skills, right? With, you know, your degrees, your qualifications, and your credentials, because what they're lacking in a lot of the employees is those soft skills. So now they're looking for those soft skills, your ability to work as a team, your ability to communicate, your ability to be disciplined, your resilience, your determination, your adaptability. Those are all things that are learned when you are hopefully young, right? And those are the things that you'll take with you through life and you'll hone, which will make you a more valuable member of either an organization or a more valuable owner of a business. So the skills that we're teaching is not just because we want them to have knowledge of the legal or the criminal legal justice system. It's because we want to bring out all of these layers of interpersonal skills that, you know, this type of practice brings out. So that's really the goal. The goal is not to develop lawyers, but to show them that Black lawyers exist, and then the types of roles that we can have. I've shared with them over the last several months so many stories about trials that I've done, and they're like on the edge of their seat, right? Because it's interesting real life, like, you know, not on TV. And so when you tell a story, right, you bring that person in because that story resonates with the emotional side of that person. So if I can do anything through this process, I can be a good example of what you can be. And I can impress upon you that you have within you the ability to develop and hone these skills and become a version of yourself that you may never have imagined that you could become.
Wow. Let me ask you this one question, then we can, and I'm gonna get a flow to the brothers. Do they have anything? Of course, you know, there's a lot of court TV, and you know, you got the Law and Order, you got I guess Judge Judah. Is that any one of those versions of court realistic?
The real life court ones like Judge Judy and all of that. I mean, there's obviously some artistic liberty that's taken, but they do utilize the law in some of these shows. The time frame of how things come to pass, you know, from crime to trial is never realistic. The things that they say in court in their openings and closings are more times than not going to be allowed in a real case. The use of the forensic evidence and the way that the technology is utilized and developed and how it comes into the court, not necessarily exactly accurate. But I mean, there are bits and pieces of it in there. But if you're going to watch something, you know, you're going to legitimately watch court TV where you're actually seeing the case, like you're seeing the trial itself, to really get a great example of what it is to be in a courtroom.
Anybody else? I'll go. You're muted, Ahmed.
The engineer, boy, I'm gonna get him. Yes, I have to bear witness with you, sister, when you were stating about the you know, I've gone through a lot of training in different companies recently, insurance, and there 80% of the training is your dialogue and how you conduct yourself with another person. 80%, like we're not even teaching the business. 80% that we're teaching you, which you should have. I'm like, man, we could learn. We're supposed to learn that at home, but obviously, it's not. That's not taught. But what I wanted to ask about was the homework that you give these children in helping them to get to that point in dealing with, in presenting themselves in this court or this mock trial. What homework do you give them to strengthen their skills, either personal, their vocabulary, and their attitudes?
Yes, sir. So just to make a comment on the first thing that you said with respect to communication. I just want to point out that that's the training that you're receiving now in your current status in life, right? Imagine now what deficit our children like Gen Z and Gen Alpha are at when we have become a text first communicating society as opposed to a verbal first communicating society. How much of a deficit are they at now where they don't ever have to talk to a person on the phone? They don't ever have to do anything other than through their fingers or through emojis. How are these people, these young people, supposed to communicate with their peers, first of all, and then second of all, other people in higher positions and adults? They are at a huge deficit. So communication right now, teaching them that is huge, huge. So how did we go about, preparing them? I kind of treated them like they were in law school, in the sense was I gave them lectures, and I gave them, presentations. They were supposed to take notes, and I gave them, what I did for them was I found videos of everything that I was trying to demonstrate by people that looked like them. Even if they were, not of their same complexion, they were young people. There were young people engaged in mock trials, doing an opening, doing a summation, doing a closing argument, so that they could see themselves in that same mode. I did not, however, spoon feed them. I did not tell them what they're supposed to say. I gave them the operating rules so that they can operate within the confines of the rules of evidence. But I told them that this is your show. These are your witnesses. This is your team. You have to collaborate to be able to give your summing attorney all of the tools that he or she will need to make the most profound argument. So I tell them it's like an alley-oop, right? The team is the alley-oop. You throw it up, and your summation person comes in and they dunk it. But they can't dunk it unless you have given them the ball. So meaning, if our witnesses haven't put out all of the information that's relevant to the case into the realm of what the jurors can decide upon, our summing attorneys can't use it. So I really stress to them that I've given you the tools. Now you all have to work together to figure out how to use those tools to progress your team forward. So I didn't handhold them or spoon feed them, and probably they don't like that. But I mean, when I came out of law school, I spent a few months doing, written work for like written motions and stuff. But then after that, they threw us into the courtroom. We had to do our own hearings. We had to do our own court appearances. We had to do our own bail applications. We had to do our own trials. We didn't know what we were doing, but we had a book of evidence. We had the law, but we had to go out there and fend for ourselves. And that's how we learned how to develop our style and how to develop how we would go about attacking the way that we broke down a case to figure out what angle we were going to use or what theme we were going to come up with. So that's kind of how I treated them.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that sounds fun. I want to play.
Yeah, you could be the snitch.
So Miss Carey, this your first time teaching or class?
I would say. I mean, I've taught like mini classes. Like when I was in my old job, I would go out and teach, curriculum on sexual assault or teen violence or, search and seizure. But I've never like spent this much time with a group of young people trying to get them to, do these types of things.
So since the Blackstone students are watching, any standouts?
Well, I don't want to have a spoiler alert. They know I told them in private how to overcome any deficit or that they may have, and I don't want any of those to get too confident in their own ability. So I'm going to stay neutral at this point.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions, brothers?
But any way that parents or outsiders can assist in helping the students? This is for you, both of you, Brother Kenneth and Sister Carrie. How can others help assist in this program? Lawyers, anyone in legal fields, or anyone in general, how can they help?
I've got to say, you can only give someone what you have. And I think I was the last generation that followed the do as I say, not as I do. So, you know, we can lead by example as parents. We can take an active role in watching the news and discussing things more so of what's going on in the world with our young people. Again, that encourages the human aspect where we're having a human conversation with our young people. So again, I don't. I think the element at home when they see you watching the news and discussing it with them, or reading a book and discussing it with them, I think it plays quite a bit. Has a tremendous influence. And once again, as I said, I have Sister Carrie's young children in school, and I feel very comfortable having a very full conversation with both of them. And that's obviously because she talks to them on that level at home. So again, everything starts at home, and it's no big magic wand. Uh, Allah God has already equipped us with everything we need. We just have to use it more. And I think we uh, parenting is not old school. It's forever school.
That's
And I
right.
think sometimes we don't realize the tremendous influence that we have over our children, even if it's just for a few minutes that day.
Mm,
That few minutes can be very impactful. You know,
mm.
Allah God, nature made it that way. So I say just give the children what's in you. Give them that attention, that audience on that level. Because soon as you blink your eye, 10 years will have gone by, and now they're looking at you asking you to drive the car, and another 5 years will go by, and pretty soon college, or you'll be looking at them like, well, what are you going to do to take care of yourself? You
Right.
know, so get that bond early, you know, just get it early. It's not difficult.
So I have a question here that is from Consider the Time. Now I was down for a second. Was this question asked already? Minister Farrakhan tells us in Torchlight for America to teach the students that they are the subject. How does the Blackstone Academy do that? That's the question. Was that asked already?
No.
Well, we've heard before, everything has to be made relevant in order to draw the attention of the young people. So in Blackstone Academy, they have several subjects, but we're taught that all of them, all roads lead back to who they are. They are science, they are math, they are social studies, they are all of these subjects that in the European form of education, they segment them as though they're all different parts. But because all roads lead back to who they are, we teach them in a way that everything is connected. So, and that's the only way that they'll really draw an interest from it, is that they actually see themselves in the subject. So while
Right.
we'll show them something on paper, we try to give them an example where it's actually demonstrated.
Praise be to
And once again, this is why I love this mock trial, because it's a real example
God.
of
Right.
how things are going on in the world. And they're a generation that they want to demonstrate. They want to show you. They'll give us parents and adults maybe two minutes of attention. After that, they they want to demonstrate. So the best thing we can do is get out the way.
Mm.
And the way Sister Carrie is teaching them with the mock trial allows them the platform to do just that. So I'm
Right.
very excited about it.
So we at the any other questions, brothers? If not, we're at the final call, the final word portion of the show. So I'm gonna call you one on one. Just give a final word, brother Kenneth. final word.
Consider the time. Each generation is fit for the time. And if you know who you are and know what time it is, you'll know what has to be done. So let your children know who they are. And as Sister Carrie mentioned, it's Armageddon. So teach them to approach life with a critical point of view and from a warrior spirit, because that's the time that they're living in. And evidently they're fit for the time because they're here.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Sister Carrie Muhammad, final words.
I would say, just like Brother Kenneth said before, invest in your children, right? Give them that support, that knowledge of themselves. Because if you don't give that support or that attention, they'll seek it elsewhere. And where they may seek it is not necessarily where they should be looking or where you want them to look. So in order to keep their mind on the direction that you want it to be on, you control it. It's just like when I tell people all the time that, your child doesn't eat this, they don't eat that. You built their palate by feeding them what you fed them. It's the same thing here. Feed them truth and build their palate for truth.
Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Brother Jackie, final words.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm super excited going to this mock trial. I have a prosecutor and and an attorney in my household. I cannot be a juror. I cannot, so I'm super excited. I want to see what they have learned. I want to see them overcome their fears. And I want to see them actually challenge their fears, if they don't overcome. But I definitely want to see them challenge their fears. And I definitely want to see the results of this, of this mock trial. And I would hope, that we would continue this and offer this to the community to come out and see. I mean, it's a great fundraiser. These are the type of fundraisers, education fundraisers that we need.
That's right.
This is great. It's wonderful idea, wonderful, and it's outside of the realm of our community. Really to become legal literacy. So thank you both for this idea. Thank you for working it, and hopefully, inshallah, we can definitely promote it the next time go around, and we and get the young people involved, where we'll have more of a understanding of how the law works. We'll have a better law literacy. So
that's right.
So thank you both for this wonderful idea.
But did
you mention? You said it's a law club? You said earlier it's a law club. So what is a law club? I'm sorry, Brother Kawi.
No, do your thing.
Yeah, a law club.
At this point, right now, it is what we make it. This year, it's a mock trial competition. Next year could be, part and parcel of them learning how to read a case and figuring out how to spot the issue, the rule, what the analysis is, and what the conclusion is that the judges came to. Like, that's kind of like where I'm headed, so that they can figure out how to read it. Because when you can read and understand something like that, your analytical skills are just opened up so much more. But I'll go with the masses. What they want to do. If they want to do it again, we'll do it again. That's my position.
No, go with your idea. No, yes, ma'am. No, that sounds good. All right, thank you.
Yes, Brother Kenneth, what you're doing is gave me a great idea for a show. Maybe we should bring on some of your past students, so they can showcase what they got at Blackstone.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Ahmed, final words.
But what, Brother Kenneth, what are you trying to show right there?
Well, I'm showing, Sister Ariel would be very instrumental in coming back to help with mock trial and the whole legal aspect, seeing how she's fresh into it and can share with them her experiences as well. So, yeah, I'm very excited, Sister Carrie, about this whole in the assembly.
That's right.
And give them room to express their skills and talents in the new form of government called the 9 ministries.
Right.
So they're there. We just have to go ahead and give them the platform and let them demonstrate.
Beautiful. Right. Final words, Brother Ahmed.
Wow. Man, you know, one thing I love is knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence. And I love being in a circle of brothers and sisters and men and women who have that knowledge and wisdom. It does everything. But in a time where they're making guns legal, the prison system is now filled with men and women who have straight violent crimes. It's not even drugs anymore. You know, I speak to some correction officers and some people in the legal system. The jails are filled with violent. It's all violent. It's people out here just shooting and stabbing and killing. It's not even drugs anymore. That we are conducting and teaching our children how to express themselves. We have conflict resolution, deliberative dialogue. The power that they have in their language is undescribable, and they don't know that. And through these mock trials and teachings like that, and what Blackstone and Brother Kenneth and Sister Anita and all those teachers that are involved, they're teaching the children and they're empowering them with just the word, and how that word can guide them through life, protect them in any situation. It's just an unspoken craft. And I'm so happy that you both are participating in this effort. That's all, you know. Thank you all, and may Allah continue to bless you all in your efforts in that cause.
Beautiful said, soldier. For me, my son is also in this. It would be participating. Yes, sir. My son will also be participating in the mock trial. I'm very interested in what the role that he'll be playing in the mock trial, because I know my son's strengths and weaknesses, his confidence, his fears, and at least I think I know them. And so hopefully, you know, when he does the mock trial, I want to see something come out of him that I didn't know exists. I don't know everything. I want to know if there's something extra layer of existence within my son. I think this is the type of activity that may expose that to me. So I'm excited myself. I'm gonna be in attendance. I'm taking off work that day. This show, the way y'all interview, the way y'all answer these questions with the confidence, with the strength, it did nothing but further motivated me to it's nothing going to get in the way of me coming to school next week to see how this happens, how it goes down. So thank you for the additional motivation that you gave me tonight, and I hope that this is something that can just continue beyond 2023. I want to see the 15th annual mock trial given by Sister Carrie Mahoney. I want this to be across the schools across the country. I want us to go to Houston and see the Sister Carrie mock trials. I want to go to New York and see the Sister Carrie mock trials. I want this to grow well beyond with your wildest imaginations, Miss Sister Carrie. So thank you for opening us up the way you did. Or that the announcements. If not, Brother Jenkins, take us out. Oh, I do have a